Gather round, players of the board game Co-Land, as I spin you a tale of Storyburg. That's right, gamers. Today we are taking a look at Storyburg. This is a new game that is on crowdfunding, and please keep in mind this is a paid preview on the Board Game Co. channel. All components are subject to change. That being said, this is a preview, and I'm just going to jump right into it because I am very excited about this one. Storyburg is a game where there are different fairy tale creatures. There is Alice and Peter Pan, and also Dorothy and Little Nemo. If you don't know Little Nemo, he is from a movie from the 80s that I loved. I'm sure he's in other stories as well. I don't know where the origins are from, but I love Little Nemo, and I'm so happy that he was included in this game. So he is the one that I chose to play with alongside Dorothy, but you get to play as one of these 4 different characters. Now there are 5 chapters to Storyburg, and it is a progressive game where you are playing through a story of what is happening to Storyburg. I will keep this part secret, but you are playing through a story where something is happening to Storyburg and you are uncovering what is happening and trying to save everything around you. Now you are doing that by a deck building. It's a cooperative deck building game where you're going to be playing through 5 chapters. Now throughout these 5 chapters you can change out any of the characters that you're using. You can add players, subtract players. You will always need at least 2 characters, but other than that you can have other people join you, other people leave, you can try other characters out, and I really love that part of the game. Another part about it, before we jump into any of the rules, is that the way that the rulebook is designed is that a big part of the game is this storybook, which is what you'll be playing through, and it will basically be guiding you through the story of what's happening to you. Depending on different things that happen, you will go to certain pages. Now this basically acts as a rule book for you. There are rules to the game, however this storybook acts as both the narrative for the game, talking you through the story, but also as a rule book. Now another clever thing that they did in this game is you have this rule book, and it also asks you if you need help with certain things. So right at the beginning you have these story cards, and one of the story cards that gets revealed is Professor Know-It-All. Now Professor Know-It-All will teach you basically anything you need to know, as a professor should. But what he does is that he comes into play when you need to learn how to start attacking, and then after that, whenever you have different types of questions, you can rely on him to basically answer and find out what you need to do. You guys, a cat is going to interrupt us, and there's not much I can do. Keep going, keep going. You can walk by, but you can't stop. You can't stop here, sir. Alright, he's on the bench. I guess that will work. So now I am going to explain a bit about your player boards and what that is going to look like for you before I get into what your turn structure will look like and then what the game will unfold like in each scenario. But overall, it is a 5-story arc where you'll be going from scenario to scenario. If you lose, you can replay it. If you win, it will give you different rewards, and you can always play it again and try out different characters. Now, in Storyburg, each character is going to have their character board. They'll have this wooden heart token, which will show where their health is at. Right now, my Dorothy is at 6 health. They also have areas where they get different abilities. So right now, she has the Brave abilities equipped, so she has these different tokens. I'll cover those in a little bit. But you also have your Meeple token, which will be moving you up this track. This is where you are going to be leveling up your character from level 1 to level 3, and that's going to be this card over here. So you have your character and their name and their art, but then you also have these level cards which designate which dice they'll be using in the game. So for different attributes, you'll be rolling different dice. For example, for defense, Dorothy would be rolling 1 green die. Now these dice are all differently spaced out, that they have different successes on them, where a yellow die has 3 misses and 3 hits. However, a red die is only hits, and some of them are multiple. You have an option to roll 2 or 3. Now the number of hits that you roll matters, so that's why the better dice you have, the better your odds are for different things. And in the beginning, when you're level 1, you're a bit lower level of a dice pool where you'll be upgrading as you level up with your character. So you can see that would be Dorothy's defense. However, for her nimbleness, she would be rolling a yellow die. For her brains, it would be 2 yellow die. And for her courage, it would be a green and a yellow. Yes, that is the cat walking by, but I think we're safe. He's back in the window. He's happy. I think we're going to be okay. So that is what your character cards look like. Now, apart from that, you can start with different companions. Now, each start of the scenario will have you start with different things. However, your character card also has setup that you have during the game. Now this shows that Dorothy would start with the Cowardly Lion in play, just like our Little Nemo started with Flip in play. Now, this scenario had us play item cards basically before we started playing turns, so Dorothy was able to play Toto, and Nemo was able to play the Walking Bed. So this is where you'd be playing your equip cards and things that come out of your player deck. You'll have a hand of 4 cards, and after that you'll be drawing from your deck. Now, I'll go through some of the Dorothy cards because I think that's what people are more familiar with, but you'll see things that are very, very common. There's the pink sunbonnet, which I'm actually not familiar with. But there's Save the Winkies and the Good Witch's Kiss and Woodman with Heart. Now this is an upgrade, so you have different companions, and she has the Tin Woodman as well, so you would be able to play this with the Tin Woodman to upgrade him to make him a better card and a better companion. So just to go through some of these as well, because we love Nemo, but he has his Oh Mama card, Playmate of the Princess, Wonderful Wish Stick, you know, so very, very true to his story as well. So you'll be playing as these different characters, going through the story, making different choices. Now the way that you're going to be making those different choices is interacting with the main play board. There are these path cards that you'll be interacting with. There are also items that you can buy with different coin costs, and then there are bosses and minions that you'll be fighting. Story cards, you'll be told when to draw that specific story card, and this is the shop pool for this scenario. So when you have a path card, you will draw it, and you will have different things that happen. With this, you would have to fight an Ugly Wuggly or try to sneak away from it. And then the enemies all have different abilities. For example, this one has Sneaky Ugly Wuggly. When defeated, this Ugly Wuggly gets one last attack. Now, throughout the game, players will be helping each other with different challenges. Challenges are something that's going to be coming out of the story deck. But if you see the story deck here, the next challenge is you break it, you buy it. The shop is more terrifying than any early morning Black Friday sale. There is only one way to get rid of this behemoth. Buy something. If they haven't already, all players must buy a card from the shop. Or if they cannot, they must sell a card either equipped or from their hands to the shop. So you can see this is kind of a way to help players because they're all buying items from the shop. These are things that are going to be helping them and adding to what they're able to do. However, they all need to do that to be able to pass this challenge. Alright, so going back to these tokens that you were able to gain as a player, each of these tokens are going to be able to give you different abilities throughout the game. So when you gain Brave, you would gain both of these tokens, and a player becomes Brave receives both a Courageous token and a Black Nimble token. When you become Enchanted, you get to receive both a Blue Brains token and a Green Defense token. Now using these tokens will allow you to add dice to the pool for that check. So for example, if you spend your red token, you'll then be able to add a red die to your pool for the check that you're currently doing. Now there are different types of cards that you'll be encountering as you're going through the current story. This is the path that you're taking. So for example, in the beginning on the path, you are fighting another Ugly Wuggly, and there will be things for you to fight along the way. But then there will be events that happen where you'll make certain tests and then see if you pass or fail within the test. Now this is kind of spoiler alerting. I'm going fast so that you don't actually see the story of the game, but you understand the general mechanics. But they're all having you roll for different things within these events. Now there are other things that will happen, like things that you're able to purchase, like Little Blue Boy's Horn. And then after that you will just have other things that are pick then play. So you will pick something and then play. And I'm not going to get too deep into these. I think inferring will make sense, but we'll read through one of them. So, pick. A little girl wearing a bonnet and holding a shepherd's crook runs up to you looking frantic. My name is Bo Peep and I've lost my sheep, she cries. Will you help me find them? Yes or no? So once you decide yes or no, let's say we decide yes and we're going to help her. You spend valuable time helping Bo Peep. Disheartened, you can't find her sheep anywhere, -2 hearts. So deciding to help her in that situation, you would lose 2 hearts, but you tried your best and at least you had the narrative story of something happening to you. So that is basically what is going on in Storyburg. Other than that, you are going to be fighting different enemies, and then you will also have boss battles. In a boss battle, you will be drawing from the boss deck as well as the minion deck, and you'll be fighting different things. These can be very exciting and act in kind of a different way because you're not only fighting a boss, but you're fighting many of the minions as well. So if this is what we were looking at, you would need to have the heroes take their action first, then the minions, then the bosses, and you would need to be able to take out these minions before you're able to attack the boss. Now the boss's health is determined by the number of players, so for a 2-player game it would have 10 health, and different bosses can have different special abilities. Now some of them are able to attack with their wits instead of their strength. So in this one, A Battle of Wits is, instead of courage, players must use brains instead to attack. Now that means that you'll be wanting to pay into that stat as well and have a balanced team when you are traveling through Storyburg and trying to stop the purple gems and clouds that are coming to destroy the world. I'm pretty sure that's what's happening, and I don't want to see that happen. Alright, and that has been a preview of Storyburg. Please keep in mind this was a paid preview on the Board Game Co. channel, and all of these components are subject to change as this is a crowdfunding project. The link will be down below, you can check it out there, and just as a reminder, this is a 5-story arc campaign game where you can switch in and out your characters, play with different people, and have a different experience that I think was very charming. This is Storyburg, and you can check it out on the link below.